let's have a moment for my favorite afternoon drink, and that is my dandelion tea iced latte. I was introduced to this by a friend of mine. I will link her blog post in the description box below. If you are a lover of coffee, you need to try this. The great thing about dandelion root is that it is not caffeinated. So if you are trying to get away from caffeine, but you like that afternoon pick-me-up, I highly suggest this. I will leave the recipe for you in the description box below, as well as a link to the dandelion root tea that I use. Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you are new here. My name is Amy. I am a wife and a mom to 2 boys under the age of 3. Today I want to talk to you about a topic that is near and dear to my heart, something that I struggled with so much, and that was making the decision to become a homemaker, making the decision to become a full-time stay-at-home mom. Whether you are a mom or not, my intention with this video is to share with you my story, my journey, the things that I resisted and was afraid of when making this decision, and the things that really helped me to overcome those fears in order to be where I am today, which is a full-time stay-at-home mom, and I truly could not be happier and more fulfilled with my decision. So without further ado, let's get into it. So here's the deal. I wanted to be a mom my entire life, but I think like most of us, I never saw being a stay-at-home mom as an option. I never saw the ability for me to be able to stay at home with my children, raise my children, an option. I was raised to be independent. I was raised that I was going to graduate from high school, go to college, get a respectable, well-paying job, and I was going to take care of myself. At no point was it communicated to me or modeled to me that staying home was a worthy nor smart option. So that's what I did. I graduated high school and I immediately went on to college, and I started to ask myself, what is it that I'm going to do with my life? You know, what can I do? What somewhat aligns with who I am and my gifts and my heart, that I can see myself doing it as a career, because being a stay-at-home mom is not an option. I have to be able to provide. I immediately had this mindset that I needed to provide for my family. I was always going to need to be able to provide and contribute financially to my family. The closest thing that I could see myself doing, dedicating my time to, was serving others. Naturally, what I saw was the huge need for nursing, and so I applied for nursing school. I graduated with my bachelor's in nursing in 2012, and I started working. I vividly remember, and I'll never forget this, was being in my orientation and listening to all the other nurses that were in orientation with me, and every single one of them, when we were talking about like our future plans and like our goals, every single one of them had plans to go on to get their NP. Every single one of them had this mindset that I need to go on and get my nurse practitioner so that I can make enough money so that I can work less. And I immediately felt this sinking feeling of like, oh my God, I worked so hard to get here. Isn't this enough? Like, isn't it enough to be a nurse? Shouldn't this be enough? And what I quickly learned was that nursing required so much of my time and energy. So right in the beginning of my nursing career, I already had this feeling and this worry. How am I ever going to become a mom? How am I ever going to be able to give my time and energy to nursing, and also give my time and energy to my family? If I'm not able to earn money, what on earth am I gonna do? And what this led me down was a path of searching for something outside of nursing that would bring me income and give me a way out. So by the time I married my husband in 2018, I had already started a business that I was working to a point where I felt comfortable to be able to go part-time with nursing. As I started to cut back my hours with nursing, I realized that that didn't automatically mean that I was cutting back my commitment to nursing. Just because I was working less hours doesn't mean that I wasn't getting called and asked to work. Doesn't mean that I didn't feel that pressure to work. Something that I wanted my whole life, I found myself feeling so hesitant, so afraid to take that step because I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to handle it all. I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to provide and be the wife and the mom that I truly wanted to be. So I got pregnant in October of 2019 and made the decision at that point to take a pause with my nursing career. We were moving at the time, and then COVID hit. And my first year postpartum, I experienced horrendous postpartum anxiety and depression. I had so much shame and guilt that I wasn't working through COVID, that I wasn't serving as a nurse at the bedside during that time. I felt incredibly guilty, even though I worked so hard to get through nursing school, build my businesses so I could have enough income so that I could be home. I realized that I had so much resistance towards actually making the leap and committing to being a full-time stay-at-home mom, to being a homemaker. And the first and the biggest one that I struggled with was that I wouldn't be able to support myself. I had so much fear that if I didn't have my own money, if I didn't provide income, that I wasn't going to be safe. I was always going to be at risk of the what if my husband left me, what if he betrays me, what if he hurts me, what if I'm ever in a position that I'm not able to pay for the things that I want or take the trips that I want to take. I had no idea that I had such a self-centered focus and such a scarcity mindset, because my whole life I was raised that you need to prepare for the worst case scenario. You need to be prepared for if your husband leaves you. You need to be able to have your own income so that you can have power in your relationship. This was a huge barrier, not only in my ability to feel fulfilled, worthy as a mother and as a stay-at-home mother, but also as a wife. This brought such a wedge in between my husband and I as I embarked into motherhood, and I started to make all of these sacrifices that mothers so naturally make for their children, for their husbands, and for their homes. I started to feel so incredibly resentful because I felt like he couldn't understand my value. I felt like no matter how hard I worked and how hard I tried, if I didn't make money, that everything I did wasn't valuable, that he didn't appreciate the value of what I did. I had to stop focusing so much on him seeing me as valuable and others seeing me as valuable, and I had to do the work to actually feel valuable, to actually address why is it that I feel like I need to make an X amount of dollars in order to be worthy, in order to be enough. And it's one of the reasons why I think I stayed working as a nurse longer than I even intended to, because I had such a hard time working through that worthiness. Along with that, I had to address my issue with money. I had to address why it was that I didn't feel that I was ever going to have enough. What I really also needed, if I wanted my husband to value me, the role that I play as a wife and a mother and a homemaker, I needed to value him as the provider, the husband, and the roles that he played in our marriage and in our home. So the more that I showed appreciation for him and the income he did provide, the bills that he paid, the things that he covered, the things that he did for me and did for us, the more I was able to see how much he did support me, how much he did value me. And the more that we did this, the more safe I continued to feel, and the more safety I built between him and I and within myself, that I am always provided, I will always be provided for, and that yes, if God forbid something happens, I can go out and I will get a job. But right now, for our family, what's best for us right now is for me to be home, for me to be dedicated to my role here as a mom, as a wife, The second biggest fear that I had was that I wasn't going to be respected. Again, this goes back to just not having a strong self-worth. I was so afraid that people were going to judge me for being a stay-at-home mom, that they were going to think that I was lazy, that I didn't, what are you doing? You have a nursing license, why aren't you working? I feel like we live in an age where women really can do everything, and with that comes so much pressure to do everything that if we're not working out of the home, if we don't have a career, or if we don't have a huge successful business, that somehow we're wasting our talent being a stay-at-home mom. Again, I had to go back to, what is it that I really want? What do you really envision, Amy, for your life? What do you want to feel in your days? And when I answered those questions, I realized that I don't want that life. I don't want to have my time and energy allotted for. I want my energy to go into me, into my family, into my kids, and I want to have balance and harmony and unity amongst us all. Taking myself out of the home required a lot of sacrifice. It required daycare. It required me to give up time that I could possibly have for myself. It required me to give up time for creative projects, for pursuits around the home that I otherwise wouldn't really have energy for. It required me to give up my dream of possibly homeschooling. It gave up time that I would have to cook dinner. With everything comes a sacrifice. I realized that was something that I didn't want to pay anymore. The third biggest fear that I had was that I wouldn't feel fulfilled as a stay-at-home mom, that somehow it wasn't gonna feel enough to just be at home and taking care of my kids and taking care of our house and taking care of my husband and taking care of our animals and our property. I was so afraid that I would make that commitment and then I would feel empty. 10, 20 years down the line, I would regret that decision. And let me tell you, first and foremost, I've only been a full-time stay-at-home mom for about a year now, but there is no way in hell that you will ever regret committing to your family. There is no way in hell that I will ever regret this time, spending these years, spending this time focused on my home. And again, I had to ask myself, what do I really want out of life? What do I really want for my family? What do I want us all to do? And how do I want my kids to feel? What kind of a relationship do I want? And what I really wanted, I didn't want other people raising my kids. I wanted to be the one that was teaching them and facilitating their growth. I wanted them to grow up playing in the dirt and living more of the childhood that I always dreamed of. I wanted to be able to see my husband when he walked in the door from work every day. I wanted to be able to cook meals from scratch and actually have the time, energy, and desire to do so. I wanted to be able to make more things like laundry detergent and natural cleaning products and time for gardening, time for taking care of our small homestead. I wanted to be able to have time to take my kids to the park, and I wanted flexibility, whether that's working out of the home or running multiple businesses. The more I add on my plate, the more I pull myself away from being a mother, the more I pull myself away from being a homemaker, the less likely it is that that vision is going to come true. And this leads me to the fourth thing I really struggled with, and that is that I would regret giving up my career, that I would regret not working as a nurse. This is something that I still have moments of, and I really think this is something to honor. I think this is something that everyone struggles with. What really helped me was recognizing we all have seasons of our lives. Nursing was a beautiful season of my life. I am so proud to call myself a nurse. I'm so proud of my nursing license. I'm so proud of my 10 years of working as a nurse. I'm proud of where I traveled and where I worked and how I spent my time. I'm proud of the patients that I was able to take care of. I'm proud of the people I was able to work alongside. And I want to be able to give everything that I gave to those 10 years. I want to give all of that to my kids. I want to be able to be in this season, look back in 10, 20, 30 years and say, I don't regret a single minute. I don't regret giving my all to that season of my life. Because truly, time waits for no man, and my kids are already getting so big. I already cannot believe how fast these little years are flying by, and all that does is solidify in me committing myself to honoring my job title as a stay-at-home mom is the most important thing that I could be doing right now. And lastly, I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to handle it. I was afraid that I wouldn't be strong enough to be a stay-at-home mom, that I wouldn't be able to handle the long days, that I wouldn't be able to handle having my kids home with me all the time, not having any breathing room for myself, taking on the workload of keeping a home and cooking and cleaning and all the many responsibilities that come with being a mom, with being a stay-at-home mother. And the best thing that I have done for myself is to surround myself with positive influence, to surround myself with positive role models, other women who are doing the same, women who have already walked the path that I am now entering, women like Sally Clarkson and Dorenda Wilson and so many more, spending my time reading books about homemaking and homeschooling, cooking from scratch, reading books around living a home-centered life, raising wild children, raising children the old-fashioned way. The more that I fill myself up with the knowledge and the wisdom of other women, the more confident I continue to feel in myself and in my abilities. Being a homemaker is in our blood. It's in our soul to nurture and to comfort and to express ourselves. And I am just so excited for what the future holds. I'm excited and grateful for this opportunity because I know that there are so many out there that maybe they don't have this opportunity, that you might be in that circumstance, that what if, that worst case scenario, you're in that position where you are having to be provider and nurturer. To that, I want to say to you that you are incredible and you are amazing, and nothing I say today is meant to make you feel less than. Listen to the callings of your heart. One of the things I'm most grateful for is that I made this decision to be a full-time stay-at-home mom and be a homemaker in stages. I didn't jump right into it. I did it in my own time. And for that, I am so grateful because I know if I had done it any other way, I wouldn't have been ready for it. I'm glad I started the business. I'm glad that I went part-time and then eventually made the decision to not go back, because at each point in which I made that decision, I felt ready to make that step. And that is why I feel like I can say to you today with confidence that this is exactly where I'm meant to be, because I trusted my own journey. Trust your path. Trust where God is leading you. At the end of the day, no matter whether you work out of the home or not, if you are doing for your children what you know is best, never doubt yourself. If you trust your own journey, if you walk your own path, that is all you are meant to do. So my loves, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that this video gave you some encouragement. I hope it inspired you. I hope that my story gives you the inspiration to trust the callings on your heart and to take baby steps forward towards what you really truly want, because it's worth it. You are worth it, and you are enough just as you are. All right, my loves, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I will see you in my next one. Bye.